Some slightly more unique news stories in today's Microsoft Flight Sim news video, from India Fox Techo announcing a Eurofighter Typhoon, to a somewhat vintage airliner being worked on in the sim, to the UK's biggest airport finally receiving some developer attention. In today's video I'll be going through some Microsoft Flight Sim news. I don't want to keep you here for too long, so be sure to like, comment and subscribe if you enjoy these types of videos. But now, without further delay, let's get right into it. So we'll start off with probably the biggest bit of news we've had from Microsoft Flight Sim for some time now. We all know about these sim updates. They basically improve the sim, hence the name. They're not like a world update where they add scenery to part of the world. Sim update is a global update to the sim as a whole. As straightforward as that. Now, Sim Update 8 is set to basically overhaul the flight model system with regards to propeller aircraft. As you can see from the footage on the screen now, they're really nailing down into it, and feathering, the simulation of feathering, looks absolutely beautiful. Really realistic. There's also set to be some performance improvements, but at the moment, and as we normally find out, the kind of development log does not state everything. Now, we have already got an early development log, but it's quite likely as beta progresses with Sim Update 8 this will change. And you can find it on the Microsoft Flight Sim website, which I've linked down below. Now, you heard me say they're beta. That's right, with Sim Update 8, again, you can decide to opt in for beta. Now, I'm not going to say I recommend it, and it's something I don't normally do, because there's many stories of people having to reinstall their simulator after downloading the beta, because of course it's expected to be somewhat unstable. But if you feel like you want to help out Asobo, or maybe get a little feel for what Sim Update 8 will mean for you, then you can of course join the beta. Big things are set to include a new marketplace interface, including a map that will display payware and freeware airports on, allowing you to find airports that fit into your home area without having to search around. There'll be a new private match game mode to the Renault Air Races, meaning you'll be able to play directly with your friends, which will be pretty cool, and as I've already spoken about, new propeller simulation. But it will be optional if you like the current one. I'm very excited for it, as it hits my plane I fly in real life, the Cessna 152. Hopefully it will be a good update. It's set to improve GPU optimization, but we'll just have to see a bit more about it before we can comment on it. And as I said, you can join the beta if you really want to. Now we move over to an interesting aircraft that has been announced for the sim, the Dash 7, not the Dash 8. That's already being worked on by Majestic, I believe, although we haven't heard much from them. This is kind of its smaller brother, the de Havilland Dash 7. Now, this is of course a very recognisable aircraft because it's got 4 propellers as opposed to 2 propellers of which you see on the Dash 8. It's still in use now by some air forces and some airlines, and it's noted for its short takeoff and landing performance. Now, the latest information I can find, that is, as of July 2018, only 17 Dash 7 aircraft were still in commercial service, but there's a few flying around for sort of agencies and of course private aircraft. The team working on it will be SimWorks Studio and pilots. I've heard of SimWorks Studio. They worked on the Kodiak 100, which was probably one of the most successful aircraft of its type for Microsoft Flight Sim. I haven't heard much from pilots, although I do recall them working on an aircraft, I believe it was the Boeing Clipper, which I featured in one of my videos a long time ago, but nothing about that today. Now, we did get a few kind of screenshots of the aircraft in the hangar. It's still a very early day model, but it's nice to see that we're getting this sort of vintage aircraft in the sim. Moving over to a fighter jet, we move over to India Fox Techo, who have released their 2022 roadmap. Now, the majority of this roadmap explains that they'll be keeping updated the aircraft they've already released, but we do get some awesome announcements, most notably the Eurofighter Typhoon. We don't get any proper screenshots, but we do get an early render. At the moment, the best case scenario is that this aircraft will be available to us by the end of 2022, but as always with these kind of projects, expect delays. The Eurofighter is a modern, multi-role fighter jet used by many European air forces, most notably the Royal Air Force and German Air Force, or the Luftwaffe. This is the team that has brought the F-35, which I love. It's got to be my favourite fighter jet in the sim already, and they're always producing high quality, mostly realistic aircraft. They're also working on the Aeromatri M346, which is meant to come by the middle of the year, and the Su-31, which we already had some screenshots for. India Foxteco is a development team I really do love, so I hope they keep it up. Now we move on to a payware airport. Builds have released their Microsoft Flight Sim trailer for London Heathrow. It looks okay. I'm very excited for it, but I note an absence of an interior. That's what sets the kind of highbrow projects apart from the sea of airport payware we've already got. And while it looks awesome, it's certainly not the best airport out there by the likes of Pyrigi Designs, who made an awesome Edinburgh and Glasgow, as well as the fact we've already had Heathrow made by the Microsoft Flight Sim team. So it has got to stand out quite a bit, I think. Scene, which is Build's kind of airport branch, have worked on plenty of awesome airports before, and this is set to be their most detailed one by the looks of it. From the Emirates A380, which greets customers, or passengers I should say, on the roundabout near Heathrow Airport before you go under the tunnel, which I believe takes you to terminals 2 and 3. I think I remember when it was a Concorde model, I've got to be honest. Must have been the late 2000s when they got rid of it. It's kind of like phasey in the back of my memory, I don't know, maybe I'm dreaming. Confirm if it was there, where the A380 is nowadays. Anyway, from the trailer, it looks absolutely awesome, and I cannot wait for it. Of course it is payware. Sadly we haven't had much freeware news, especially with the Discord aircraft teams. We're just not getting much out at the moment, but late February we're meant to hear from the likes of the KC-10 team, Aerodynamics, and maybe Uriburu Jets. I'm keeping an eye out as always. Finally, the boat I took a look at on Microsoft Flight Sim, which has had a little update, improving some noises and indeed the wakes you get behind the boat, I should say. I thought I'd keep you guys updated as it's quite a quirky model. I apologise if I sound a bit blocked up. I think I've got a bit of a cold coming on, but nonetheless I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have, be sure to like, comment and subscribe. Thank you to my first class channel members, they get a shout out on the screen now. From me today, I'll see you around, bye bye.